If you've been building your business using social media, you know, of course, it's all about finding the right people who are interested in your offers and are looking to buy them. And with the millions of people on social media, those people are out there. But how do you find them? Well, in today's episode, we have a special treat for you. We're going to show you the social media platform that's more than just a social media platform. It's a search engine. So people are actively searching for the things that they are ready to purchase. Not only are they problem aware, they're solution aware, and they're searching for that solution. So if they type that into the search terms and your content pops up, they are far more likely to buy than on any platform where they're just passively scrolling and not really serious about making a purchase. What's the secret? Pinterest. So let's dive in and learn all about why Pinterest is more than just a social media platform. Let's do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Social Media Sales Summit. Today, we are here with Nadalie Bardo. She is here to help you launch your blog and level up your website's traffic with Pinterest. So for the last 5 years, she's organically grown the traffic, subscribers, and sales for free for her personal development blog, It's All You Booze, with just Pinterest and SEO. So as a Pinterest and blogging coach, she's dedicated to helping entrepreneurs like you to achieve their goals of more traffic, more subscribers, and of course, more sales. So she's the perfect person to have here with us today to dig into all things Pinterest. So welcome, Nadalie. I'm so excited that you're here with us.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Super excited to talk to you. I'll talk about Pinterest all day, every day. So
yes, finally, it's time to geek out on all things Pinterest. And I know the audience is super excited to do that. But before we jump into all the good content, for those in the audience who maybe have not met you yet, could you tell us just a little bit about you and your entrepreneurial story of how Pinterest started to play such a big role in your business?
yeah, totally. So I have that similar story where I was, working the 9 to 5 after spending way too much time in school. And I was like, what? This is it? I spent all that money and all that time for this job that I hate. I had the opportunity to try my own thing and I started a blog. Just like many others, start online businesses and blogs because it's something you're passionate about, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe you just started too, and you're struggling to get traffic. That was a problem I had in the beginning. And yeah, friends and family, they're great, but seeing only those 5 or 10 clicks a day can be really depressing, right? So I was constantly hearing, oh, Pinterest, use Pinterest to get all these people were telling me the same thing. And I was like, okay, universe, I get it. I need to figure out how to use Pinterest. And I was pleasantly surprised that everyone was right. My traffic went from flatlined to straight spike the same week that I started using Pinterest. And it changed everything for me. So if you're in a similar situation, let me tell you this, it can change everything for you too.
For anyone struggling with how many of you have had the thoughts of I don't have enough people to talk to, I don't have a big enough audience, I can't succeed because I don't have enough followers, right? Pinterest could be the thing that changes everything for you, just like it changed everything for Nadalie. So I love that. So clearly there's a lot of power behind Pinterest and it's very unique. It's different versus the other platforms. So can you tell us a little bit about what makes Pinterest unique versus the other social media platforms? And, why is it worth someone investing their time in? You said that you went from basically zero to this huge spike. How big of a jump did you see?
Yeah,
I would love to dig in.
No, I totally want to show you right now. I'm just pulling up Google Analytics.
Ooh, yeah. Let's take a peek. Let's share screen.
Yeah.
Jump into the good stuff.
Show you so I'm trying to get really close to the dates, but you can see how there was nothing before this. That little, that jump is Pinterest.
Oh, wow.
That you can see something happened right around here, right?
Right.
This is when I started using Pinterest.
Oh my gosh. But look how much it's continued to grow as well.
Right.
That first spike, it almost pales in comparison to some of the more recent ones, right? So
Oh,
not only
totally.
can it give you a big boost, it can continue to
Oh, it's one
grow
of those
and grow
things
and grow.
where, like it'll just grow time over time, right? Like
Oh
you
my word.
right? Like traffic is going up. And it was around here where I started using Pinterest. And you could see social media, they categorize Pinterest as social media in Google Analytics.
Sure.
So this is like because of Pinterest. Why I was able to, grow my email list. I have over, 12,000 subscribers right now. Why I've been able to sell my products on autopilot, by setting up simple funnels where you have the pin, that's the first point of contact, and it's sending them down this beautiful pathway that you've created for them, right? So it's a real potential to change things for you, because what happens when you start your new site, and I'm sure you know this, is you don't really have any domain authority. And yes, ideally, we all want that beautiful organic search traffic from Google, but it takes realistically a couple of years for Google to even trust you as a resource. And the thing that's great about Pinterest is that, yeah, there is some like authority factored in, but as long as you're creating great content and using keywords, there is a huge potential for you to be found, because, pins are searchable. So it's not necessarily about how many followers do you have. All right. It's about how much amazing content are you creating and sharing at the right time so that people are finding you.
Yeah. So if any of you are trying to create more traffic, right, more eyes on your stuff, basically, up until Google starts to grab you and kind of put you out there, you can create your own traffic by using Pinterest. And it's a tool to get more eyes on your stuff.
And it's free.
Simply put.
The only cost is your time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that a lot of us in the beginning, or maybe even you've been on the platform for a while, maybe you're frustrated. Like, let's be real. People are talking about how their views are down, their clicks are down. That's realistic. I'll honestly tell you, my clicks are down too, but I'm still getting a lot of clicks. So,
right.
If the difference is between some clicks and no clicks, I hope your choice is it's still worth my time, right?
Yeah.
And people want to find you. They just need to know how to. And yes, like this is a summit about social media, but the benefit of Pinterest is that it's not quite social media. It's searchable content, you know?
So let's dig into that a little bit because I included Pinterest because I think largely the majority of the world sees it as a social media platform, but I know you see it a little bit differently because it is very unique. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes Pinterest unique? Why is it different versus some of the other social platforms? Like, what's the magic of Pinterest?
Definitely. So in their own words, Pinterest exists to inspire users to try new things, to better their lives. Like, it's a positive space. So I would say that a lot of I don't know about you guys, but when I go on Facebook, I just kill feed. Like, I use that to hide my feed because everything is just so triggering. I just feel like people are there to start arguments, right? And it's not like that on Pinterest. It's all, within a positive light, and they're committed to keeping things positive, right? And to me, that matters. But functionally for you, like, what does that mean for your traffic? Like, why should you choose Pinterest over Instagram? Like, because you only have so many limited hours in a day. And it really does come down to the fact that it's a search engine, that how it categorizes its content is not by hashtags like on Instagram, but by keywords. So if you're using the right keywords in all the right places, you have the potential to be discovered by, I think they said there's 400, there's an insane amount of people on Pinterest. And if you're doing that, and the thing that's great is that I find with social media, it's very now. Okay, so I post, everyone sees it now. Less than 24 hours later, nobody sees it.
Right. Like most social media platforms, and I think Twitter is the worst, right? You put something on Twitter and 10 minutes later, it's not even in the algorithm anymore.
Yeah.
But things live longer on Pinterest, don't they?
Oh, they live, I would even say for eternity. But I do believe I think they say it's around 40 days now is the main window, but there's still potential for your pins to be discovered, especially if you adopt a seasonal mindset when it comes to Pinterest. And I would just if none of you have been on Pinterest lately. I just want to show you.
Yeah, let's dig into the good stuff. Let's take a look at some of these seasonal pieces. So for those of you, as she's pulling that up, who are frustrated with, you make a post on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and it's relevant for maybe a day, maybe if you're lucky, a couple days. Imagine 40 days. Imagine being searchable years later. Imagine a post from 2 years ago at Christmas popping again this Christmas because it's seasonally themed. So yeah, take us into that, Nadalie. I'm super excited.
I just want to, if anybody has not been on Pinterest before, I just want you to show you that it is really and truly all about the search bar. So right now, people are probably thinking Halloween, right? And we can see here, like these are the keyword phrases that are going to be the foundations of your strategy, right? So people are looking for these types of topics, whether it's Halloween or, Thanksgiving, being thankful. Like we can see everything is categorized by keywords. So I just want you guys to kind of grasp that, because it's not just, it's like in the descriptions on the image, like this is how Pinterest understands what your content is about. And there's a really great tool called Pinterest Trends. As long as you have a business account, you can get access to this under the analytics panel. You can see how I just accessed it. They have data for Canada, the UK, and the US. Majority of my traffic comes from the USA. So I'm going to, choose that option. And it's showing you what's trending right now, right? We got Halloween, we've got fall. These are the types of food and beauty and home decor that people are thinking about, travel ideas. So I just want you to understand that, yes, having a beautiful pin image matters, but what matters even more is how you're categorizing that and telling Pinterest what your content is about so the right people find you.
Well, and what I love about that, the fact that it's all based on keywords, and it's all based on when someone goes to Pinterest, rarely are they just going to Pinterest and randomly scrolling. They're going and they're searching something. Mm-hmm. And what I love about that, the minute someone is searching, actively searching, they're ready to take action on whatever it is they find.
And that's a statistic. They say that people who go on Pinterest, they take action. So if it's your product that they're saving, it's like a shopping list. They're more likely to go buy it later than somebody who's doing that on Instagram.
Or to buy it on the spot. If they've searched for it, your stuff pops up. They like what they see. They're far more likely to either purchase it on the spot or purchase it a short time later because they actively looked for it.
Yeah. It doesn't just like randomly show up, Like, how many Facebook ads and Instagram ads are you seeing that you're stuff that you're not really interested in, but it's in your face anyways.
Right, exactly. So I would much rather have someone actively searching and finding my stuff versus passively scrolling and finding my stuff, right? So right away, it's super unique. I feel like Pinterest and YouTube are really the only ones that are based on searches, and therefore the users are more taking action. They're action-based users, right?
And that's such a good point that you bring up, comparison to YouTube, because, Pinterest pins and YouTube videos also rank in Google search results. So on any search engine, whether you're talking about like Bing or whichever country you're from, maybe you have another search engine, but those pins, they're showing up in search results. Those YouTube videos, they're showing up in search results. So if you have a limited amount of time, and who doesn't? Limited amount of time over here, you've got to decide, if I can promote this piece of content, is it better to have a pretty Instagram account where nobody's clicking, or to put that energy into creating a pin or 2 or 3 and having it in a place where they can be found forever? I don't know.
Exactly. And both Pinterest pins and YouTube videos can be embedded into a blog.
Right? So it's all connected. It's not a choice. You can do all of these things. It's just deciding what you want to like prioritize. So we were talking about seasonal content, and I just want to, this is like my jam. So when it comes to Pinterest marketing, I'm all about the seasonal content. And by that, I mean, if you guys are new to content creation, there's typically 2 types of content you can create. You can create evergreen, which I like to call never green content, and seasonal content. So seasonal content is very much not only tied to the seasons of the year, but to major holidays and celebrations that, come along on our calendar. So every single month there's a holiday. Every single month there's a celebration. And just like the example I just shared with you inside Google Trends, we can see that people are searching seasonally. Halloween, fall, it's end of September, October. This is what people are looking for. So why would you be sharing evergreen content in a season of orange, golden, and beautiful falling leaves? It doesn't make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, the great thing about this seasonal strategy that you're teaching is, as humans, we get a certain amount of comfort from like repetition and routine. And so, I mean, how many of you get excited for when fall comes around? Ooh, I love fall. When it's finally Christmas. Ooh, I love Christmas, right? Like we love the repetition of like a good routine. And there's a lot of times there's traditions that surround these seasonal points. But the great part is you create some good fall content. It might spike this fall, drop off a little bit, and then spike again next fall, and then spike again the fall 10 years from now. Like it can just come up again and again and again.
Because I love that you bring up that point, because that's what I say with seasonal content. Maybe you're just getting started this year and all you can create is 1 or 2 pieces of content that are tied to the season. But that means that next year you can write another one and then another one. So part of my process, and as I teach you guys this seasonal method, I like to start by doing a content audit. So I look at what content I've already created that could be tied to this season. So I actually, for fall, one of my big tips for you is that you want to get started early. So that means 60 to 90 days in advance. So if you're trying to focus on the holidays, what's 60 to 90 days ahead of time? Pretty much like October, late September. You want to start creating that content, creating your pins, start pinning it out early, because you're not like BuzzFeed. You're not Huffington Post. You can't just post something on the day of and have all these eyeballs on it, right? You don't have that kind of reach or authority yet. So get started early.
So are you saying create the content early and hold on to it until the season, or create it, post it, give it some time to get warmed up before the season?
Give it some time to start building traction. Okay. Because remember, Pinterest pins don't fizzle right away. It takes some time for you to, get eyeballs on it, time for people to start searching for it. So something that I do is I usually just grab a sheet of paper and I just write down all my seasonal content ideas, content I have and content I'm thinking of creating for, this is my like fall/Thanksgiving list. So that's why everything's already highlighted, because I'm already done. So then I'm like moving on to the next one. And I want to show you this inside Trends so you guys can have a better visual. Like you see these little graphs here. These are the trend graphs. So even just for the season of fall, we can see, remember I said 60 to 90 days in advance. It's end of June where people are starting to think about fall, when fall technically just started. So they are already thinking about these seasonal moments months in advance. So why would you wait till this spike to drop your fall content when you'll see soon there's going to be a huge drop off? Because ironically, the moment that the season comes, people are over it. It's that anticipation and buildup. So you have got to get started early, and you can use this for everything. Like if you want to search for Christmas, we can compare different trend graphs, but we can see even right now, let me take out fall. People are already starting to think about it.
You want to make sure you ride that entire wave up. Don't wait until the crest of the wave, ride the whole thing.
Yep.
Okay.
Get started early is my number one tip for that.
Oh, wow. So what if you're in the type of business that because there's a lot of entrepreneurs, right, in the audience, and they are selling anything from, coaching to network marketing products to maybe they're creating online courses. How would you advise to them to kind of put the seasonal spin on that?
Totally. So one thing that could help you as well is if you guys grab my seasonal planner, I have a list of all the holidays and celebrations throughout the entire calendar year. So that can help you think of, because yeah, we all know the major ones, but there are little holidays and spins that you can put on things. And if you're selling a product, having a blog is also going to help you because you can think of ways to make your content relevant to the different seasons. And okay, so say you're in business, right? Maybe you're not creating Halloween content, but maybe you're helping your clients with something related to Halloween or back to school. Maybe, yes, you're not really focused on children or back to school supplies and all of that stuff, but perhaps maybe you're in like the financial industry. Parents are spending a lot of money during that time. So maybe it's need to save for school supplies, or you have to think of a way where you can make yourself relevant. And if there isn't an obvious way, you can fake seasonal content by bringing in images and videos that match the season. So in fall, we're talking about using the yellows, the golds, the reds, the leaves, fall scenery in your imagery. You don't necessarily have to be talking about fall, but obviously you're not going to use a photo of Santa Claus in the middle of June or July. That doesn't make sense, right? But you can use the imagery of the season to make your content or your offer seem seasonal. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. And I could see how it's just a little bit of creativity, especially if the viewers had your list of all of the holidays and they were prepared, right? So I'm hearing you can absolutely take whatever it is that you sell, you can make it seasonably relevant. I'm hearing plan ahead roughly 3 months.
Yep.
Right. So you can ride that entire curve. And you mentioned that you use a content calendar once you brain dump all those ideas. What advice would you give about creating a content calendar for Pinterest? How far ahead are you filling this content calendar out? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah. So for me, I just use scrap paper because I've done it so many times. Like literally, this is just year over year of me doing the exact same thing, making lists of content ahead of time. But that's part of why I created the planner. And I'll just show you all. Within it, there is actually a worksheet where you can plan your content ahead of time. So, like right here in the beginning, I'm telling you guys, get started early, here are the dates to start. So like Valentine's Day, you're going to start on January 1st. And that's just a bit late because New Year's is so big. It takes up until January 2nd, nobody cares about anything else, right? But here on the second sheet, I have places for you to put your main keyword, any related keywords, and come up with some post ideas. And then you can even track your progress, what date you put it up.
So spoiler alert, you guys, if you are falling in love with this little planner that she's showing right now, that's her free gift. So yay.
Right? So everything is in there for you. It'll be easy. I have it for every single month. So this way you can kind of track your keywords. And on the point of keywords, I just want to give you guys one tip when choosing a keyword. So you understand.
Let's talk keywords because if that's what people are searching and that's how they're finding you, let's make sure we master it together.
Yeah. So when we're talking about a keyword, I'm talking about a long tail keyword phrase, which is typically 3 to 5 words. So with the example of Christmas, I would not just use Christmas as a keyword because that is just way too broad and it can mean anything. But we can see down here, we've got some related trends like Christmas decor ideas. That's way more specific. You can even become more specific than that, like DIY Christmas decor ideas. So you want to make sure that people can actually find you with that keyword. Because if you're just saying Christmas, no one's going to find your content. So you want to be specific enough that you can be found and the competition isn't too high. And you can use the trend graph to kind of figure that out, but you can also click on the results and see what comes up. Is there a good opportunity? So Christmas decor ideas, for example, see if there's a lot of people posting about this. So for now, I just see images. So there's could be an opportunity for you to create, a really pretty pin with text on it that is providing what exactly someone needs. So if you're trying to find those keywords, you can use trends like we just were in, or you can use the search bar and autofill, because I know a big complaint right now is that the search bubbles are gone. Pinterest OGs, you'll know what I mean, but you're just going to use the search bar and you're just going to type right into it. And right down here is kind of where you're going to get the autofill and see what comes up, right? Like,
so the more you start typing in, the more it'll autofill the most commonly searched items there.
Right. So with these examples, I would not choose Christmas decor. I would choose Christmas decor, DIY outdoor, or for living room. You want to be super specific, but not super, super specific that no one can find you.
Right.
You got to find the happy medium.
Right. I mean, if it's a big enough long tail keyword to pop up in a search, as long as it's in with a handful of other things, you're probably in a good spot there. So that's interesting, the use of keywords there. And so it's not exactly like a hashtag. It's different in that it's a full phrase, if you will. Okay.
A phrase that people are searching, right? So something is probably like, you can imagine like pumpkin spice latte to make at home. Like that's probably something people are looking for.
Right.
They want to, like, these are the phrases that people are searching for. And if you're wondering, okay, I don't know what my people are searching for, then however large your audience is, whether it's like 10 clients or 100 email subscribers, send out a survey. Ask them, like, what are you looking for? How can I help you in the season of whatever? What's the number one concern you have right now? Like, you've got to kind of get some feedback and talk with people, talk with your customers. Like, this is, I assume, no matter what business you're in, something that you did early on. So why not do it again? Like, you have to know what your target audience needs, like, and how you can serve them. And I think once you do, you can intuitively guess what those keyword phrases are.
Right. Even if you're not 100% sure, take a guess, throw it out there, test it. Like, see how it does, refine it, test it again, refine it, test it again. That's the great thing about social media is you'll get immediate feedback one way or the other, right? People will either engage with it or they won't. It'll either get searched or it won't. So the great news is you can post all the time and test all the time. And then, it's never ending. It's social media, right?
Right. And the same with your images, like with your keyword choice. You don't just like create one and never change it. You want to constantly be designing new pins, constantly to be changing how you're writing your pin titles or your pin descriptions, right? So if, that's just something, I hope I can plug myself quickly. I do have a YouTube channel where I create weekly free content on Pinterest, and I have created videos on, pin titles, pin descriptions, things like that. So links down below.
Yeah. Definitely find Nadalie below if you want to dig deeper. So I did notice one of the newer features on Pinterest is that all of a sudden video is in the mix now. Do you have any advice on the use of static images versus video? And like, what would you recommend there?
The newest rise is idea pins, right? So I don't know can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see right here at the top. Now, if you are creating these idea pins, Pinterest is actually giving you some real estate. So you can it's almost like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
But you can see here, like, these are the types of, idea pins where you're able to share an idea. And then at the very end, it's going to invite you to follow and connect. So this is a great way for you to, reach new people.
Oh, wow.
And
so
one thing else,
it's almost like stories inside.
Yeah, it is, but it lives forever. In Pinterest words, you deserve more than a double tap. Okay. They said it, not me.
I love that, because everywhere else, if you share a story, it lives for 24 hours and it's gone. Right. So again, your shelf life is like teeny tiny. Pinterest, you can create these. They live forever.
Yeah, they really do. So that's a benefit of creating an idea pin. There is some controversy though, because there's no link. And a lot of people are a little apprehensive to that because no one can click to your site. But what it does do, like you saw that right at the top, like what other platform is going to give you that type of real estate when a follower logs on and they see your beautiful face right there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And when I imagine it's a way that you could either grow your followers or grow the engagement of your existing followers.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about that engagement. because this is what's happening. And we can circle back to that comment about no one is seeing my pins. I'm not getting any impressions. I see a lot of people posting, oh, is Pinterest still worth it? Yeah, it is still worth it. And here's why. If we think about in terms of how many impressions a platform has able to give out in a day, it's not an infinite amount. So if a new type of pin, like an idea pin comes, and the Pinterest algorithm is prioritizing idea pins over standard pins or video pins, and you're not creating them, then obviously less people are going to see your pins, right?
Right. So always, and I've heard this from multiple speakers now, whatever the newest feature is, always prioritize your time in like at least putting a little bit of it out there, because the algorithm is going to favor it.
Yeah. You don't want to be left out of this dance. And, it is a new feature. We're going to see how this pans out. But I do believe it is worth your time to explore, especially if you are seeing no engagement. Because the problem is that if you have a profile with no engagement, that's a bad signal to Pinterest saying, okay, nobody cares. Nobody wants to engage. So then they send even less people to your profile, even less people see your pins. So if you start creating idea pins and start building that engagement, then there's that saying, rising tide, lifts all boats. Yes. So it'll lift all your pins. And that is not to say you stop creating standard pins. We got to create those standard pins because that's how we're getting the click. But so that's why I encourage people to create a variety of pins. Maybe you design one idea pin per piece of content and a handful of standard pins for that exact same piece. So when I'm designing my pins, I make one idea pin. I maybe make 2 video pins and then like 10 standard image pins that I spread out over, because remember, we're getting started so early. I'm not just going to pin once. I'm pinning once a week until we hit that peak. We can see, it depends like which is the type of image that is going to take off. Like, I don't know, I got to try. I have an idea what my best designs are, but unless I'm going to try and find you guys an example of a season.
Yeah, let's dig into an example. I love that. Anytime we can see a real life example, it just really brings it to life. It helps so much. So I love that. I love that you're screen sharing and we're getting into the good stuff here.
Right.
So that's interesting. So you're saying use a mix of the traditional image pins, a couple of the videos. You're saying videos are worth having in the mix, and then this idea pin, which is basically like a series of stories, what people might think of as stories on other platforms, and use the full mix of them, because if any one of them pops, it's going to pop all of your stuff in the algorithm, basically.
Totally. So you can see here, for example, this is a bit on a downward turn right now, but I got this post up early summer. So I didn't wait till September 1st to post about back to school. So you can see I do have a combination of video pins. Like this is a video pin, but this is a standard image pin. This one is also standard image. This one, so we can see, okay, this one got 344 clicks. This one got 60. This one got 10. And this is a bit down because back to school was trending in mid-August. So this is kind of like the tail end of things. But I also created a couple of idea pins because I wanted to know what is actually going to take off. So we can see, it's a collection of standard pins that are getting clicks.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing 16,000, 24,000.
This pin was seen, had 24,000 views.
For those of you watching, when was the last time anything you shared on any other platform got 24,000 views, right?
And this is an okay pin. Like this one did all right. But yeah, like Pinterest is not broken. This is not when this content was at its peak maybe 3 weeks ago when I was getting a lot more clicks. One thing you should know about Pinterest stats is that it only shows you standard pins last 30 days. So this is how this pin did in the last 30 days, not the entire time. For video pins and for idea pins, it's collectively. So this is the lifetime of the pin. You can see it's for a lifetime. And an idea pin is also lifetime stats.
So again, these video pins, it's not like they're long videos. They're just like short little videos.
Yeah. And if anyone is, sorry to plug myself again, but I just created this entire course called the Idea Pin Starter Kit. So if anyone's interested, check out my YouTube channel.
That's fantastic and exciting. I love that. So especially when there's a new feature and you know it's important to, hop on that trend right in the beginning. I mean, imagine for those of you watching, whether you're getting into Pinterest for the first time and you're like, listen, I'm going to hit the ground running, or whether you've been using it for a while, but you're ready to really up your game and make the most of Pinterest. Imagine the power of grabbing the seasonal strategy that keeps you relevant year after year after year, paired with knowing when all these different holidays are, the planner for the keywords, all the things coming together. Pinterest is such a fascinating platform. Yeah. So I love that mix of advice and just the power of the platform. The fact that it's not just sitting there dormant and quiet. They're constantly bringing new innovation to Pinterest as well, with the addition of the videos and then what you're calling these idea pins now too.
Yeah, it's true. And I wanted to show you guys one quick example of another pin talking about the power of seasonal content year over year over year. This is a video pin. Yeah, I created last year. And it's already back up at 27,000 views, and fall is just starting. So this was an old pin. It's still there, still getting found. So your time has so much more value and so much more legs on Pinterest, especially when you're getting started, in my opinion, than any other platform. And that doesn't mean you don't eventually get to it all, but
yeah,
for me, it was a no-brainer choice. And I am happy I made it.
Yeah. So in terms of getting like the most bang for your buck, right? I think the number one thing that most entrepreneurs struggle with is we have like 1,000 things we want to do. And just because you become an entrepreneur doesn't mean someone comes along and says, congratulations, you now get 28 hours in a day. Like we still just get the 24.
If only.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? So it's about being as efficient as possible with your time. And it sounds like with Pinterest, and particularly with the seasonal strategy that you're teaching, you're going to get the most bang for your buck.
Because, and like, this is like, for example, I did this video on my channel called "Why is no one seeing your pins?" And I showed an example. There's a few examples, but for example, one of my pins that went viral earlier this year, and I got 10,000 clicks in one day. I was looking at that pin now and nobody sees it, has 0 views. And the reason is because it's no longer in season. And people think that a lot of topics are evergreen, but if you look up any topic in Google Trends, I promise you there is a spike and a dip, even for topics that seem so basic, like, oh, it's just every day. You've got to kind of tune yourself into, and if nobody's heard of Google Trends before, it's like the OG trend website that was around before Pinterest came out with their own trend site, where you can search to see what people are searching for when.
Ooh, so this is a great tool. And I mean, there's a lot of tools I use to look for, and research what people are looking for, but this is a new one to me. So it's called Google Trends, just trends.google.com.
It's been around for ages. And you can, just like we were doing in Pinterest Trends, you can see, I can plug in some keywords. It's going to compare and tell me. So even start a business like spikes in the beginning of the year, and it's a bit lower for the rest of it. So even that phrase, which seems so non-seasonal, and for the most part it is, but more people are thinking about it in January. So that would be a great time to create content for that. I noticed that from time to time, I'll create videos about like social media scheduling tools and which ones are the best ones. I always spike again every January on YouTube. Because people are like, I want to start the year off with a bang, and that's what they're looking for. This year, I'm finally going to get organized. So if you get into the mind of your ideal client, when are they thinking about certain things? And I love this Google Trends tool. Thank you for showing it to us. This could help you to maybe bust some of the myths you have in your own mind about whether or not your evergreen topics are actually evergreen, or whether there is a little seasonal bump. Maybe it's not huge, but it's enough for you to ride a wave on Pinterest. Right. And like, if another thing I like about this is that, similar trend graphs as to what we see in Pinterest. So if you can't find a keyword in Pinterest Trends, and that can happen, like sometimes you can't find what you're looking for, what you can do is then plug that into. So this is one graph and this is the other. We can see it's identical. Right?
Almost exactly the same.
So if you can't find your keyword in Pinterest Trends, give it a try in Google Trends because they're both search engines. People have the same behavior across platforms. But what I like about Google Trends is that if you scroll down, it's telling you what breakout keywords are. So people are really into craft and wreaths right now. Like it's a breakout search term for this year compared to the year before. So you never know what you're going to discover in here. And it's free. You don't need to sign up or log into anything. Use it.
Right. So trends.google.com. And then on Pinterest, their trends section was just within the business drop down there is where you can.
So if you go to, you have to have a business account. That's how you get access to Pinterest analytics, which you want. And then you just click analytics and then trends. And then you can search in here, and you can also just key down to whichever of these is your main demographic. I assume USA is probably where most of your readers are from.
Oh, wow. That is so helpful. So even just, you could use this Pinterest trend search to, whatever it is you learn from that, you can apply it to any social platform you're on. You can apply it anywhere. Mm-hmm. It just happens to live on Pinterest. And why not also use it for Pinterest, of course? But just imagine the power of, if you take the time to research in your business, research what people are interested in, when they're interested in it, what they're searching for, what words they're using, that will always serve you well. I've never heard of a business owner saying like, oh, darn, all those business analytics were a waste of my time, right?
I knew too much. Who says that?
Too much information. Like, no. So I love it. Well, and I love that all of these tools you showed us, they're not overly complicated. They don't have to take hours. You could sit down for 15 minutes and brainstorm, fill in the nice little sheet you're going to give us for free.
Yeah, that's literally how much time I spend planning every season. The hard work is then creating all the pins and getting the content up. But brainstorming content is not difficult, right? Like another thing that I do, and I'll just show you guys this quickly, is in terms of like, if you're trying to come up with content ideas, yes, you can use the trends here. But sometimes what I'll do is just go to the home feed and I'll just search and see, what are people writing content on? Dinner ideas, see what other people are creating. Like, okay, apparently, chicken and rice casseroles, interesting. Maybe I'll do a top 10 dinner ideas for the fall. That could be a content idea. See what's out there. And also for idea pins, yes, it sucks that there's no link, but the freedom is that you don't need a link. You don't need to back it up with a page. So you could just make a video or an idea pin on anything, right? It could be, the top 5 questions my clients have, and you're just talking about it. You can repurpose your TikToks. You can repurpose your Instagram reels. Like the one thing that I love about idea pins and web stories, or even like YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, TikTok videos, they're all 9x16. It's all the exact same dimension. So you got no excuse to repurpose, like to not repurpose. You might as well do it.
Might as well do it. It already exists. Yes. And I love that. And I do that too. So that is super, super helpful. And so then even for those idea posts that don't have a link, if they like your stuff, they could follow you. They're going to click on the next link that comes up. They could still become a customer or a client because all the traditional pins are clickable, which means if someone clicks and they like what they see, they could buy on the spot.
Yep.
Or sign up or opt in or whatever it is you want them to do, right?
Totally. And I know like another question that often comes up is like, okay, how do I get followers on Pinterest? As someone who is like on the verge of hitting 70,000 followers, I would say that it's consistency. So you gotta, like with any platform, your success comes by being patient and consistent. So no matter how many pins you decide to create, like maybe you'll do one idea pin a week, a couple of standard pins every day, stick with it and keep going. Like any platform takes several months for you to really get the value of your time, but you can know that Pinterest is in a bit a long-term game, but that every pin you're creating, as long as you're SEOing it, it's a beautiful image and you're pinning it correctly, you know that it's going to be worth your time. It's not just going to go poof,
exactly.
Never be seen again.
Right. Well, and what I love about that advice, if we're planning roughly 3 months ahead for all these seasonal trends, you could batch a whole bunch of, repurpose your reels or your TikToks or your stories pre-create some pins that are seasonally relevant, create a big bank of content.
Oh, this
And
is,
so
I'll
you
show
have
you.
plenty to post while you're then planning out the next 3 months cycle.
You'll speak in my language, right? Like October, Thanksgiving, all of these, I've already created all my pins. So I don't have to then, like come back and some of these are from the previous year. Sometimes I create more pins that I can post. Like I can't share all of these to one blog post between now and October, which is like basically here anyways. But guess what? Next year, I won't have to create pins because I already created enough for this year and next year. So,
oh my gosh, that's great.
I batch design, I batch download everything. I use Canva for my pin designs. So I just save everything to my computer so that when I need to upload a pin, I don't have to go back. It's all there waiting for me,
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you're smartly repurposing things that are the same size or same dimensions from other social media platforms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the repurposing and reusing you'll never run out.
Nope.
Once you have a good content creation strategy, you'll never run out. So I love that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for covering all of these topics. I know you've already kind of given the audience a sneak peek of your free gift, but do you want to tell us just a little bit more about it so they know what it is? And guys, there will be a button below where you can grab it if you would like to use it.
Yeah. So I created this, seasonal Pinterest planner with all the holidays and celebrations because I hated having to be like, okay, what's coming up next? What are the holidays? Always Googling. So you guys see, I have mine printed out. Usually what I'll do is just highlight a couple of days that maybe I'm interested in creating content for so that when I sit down and do it, I know what's coming up. It's easy to know what's 3 months in advance when you have something so easily like printed out for you and you can just plan your content right in it. You don't need anything extra in that. So I think just having this in front of you really can help you to brainstorm and come up with new ideas. And it's been updated for the next year. So it's not like annual. Next 12 months, I got you covered. You can get it, print it out, type right into it, save paper if you're that type of person, and know exactly what's coming up and start thinking seasonally, shift your mindset to looking at it in terms of what does my customer or client or ideal audience need right now, or what will they need in the next, 60 to 90 days? And how can I position myself as the person who's in tune with what's going on? Because I think the problem with evergreen content is sometimes you're tone deaf, right? You're like sharing about something that is not even like tuned into what's going on right now,
Yeah. Well, and I love too, when you kind of force yourself to like flip your thinking upside down, think about something a slightly different way. All of a sudden you might find that you have all these creative ideas that, last week you were convinced you were out of ideas, you had nothing left. Flip your thinking and all of a sudden you'll get a fresh flood of ideas. And I love that you gave us such an easy, actionable tool to capture all these thoughts, the keywords, the post ideas. It's super helpful. Of course, you can use it for Pinterest, but spoiler alert, you can use it on other platforms too, you guys. Like, just use that baby, right? Like, make the most of it. What a smart strategy, Nadalie. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Be sure to hop in the Facebook group. We're going to continue the conversation there. Nadalie is going to be there to make sure that if you have any follow-up questions, that she can get them answered. You can actually meet her in person. How cool is that, right? And we can continue to have the conversation about how to not just wrap our heads around it, but how to actually now implement, because that's where the magic happens. So I'm super excited about this. Thank you, Nadalie, so much for sharing your abundance, sharing your gift, and being there to help with questions. We so appreciate you.
As are you.
Well, thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
You've been listening to the Impactful Entrepreneurs Show with Adrienne Hill, where we support coaches, course creators, and network and affiliate marketers to translate their big picture vision into actionable plans to build out their business efficiently. If you love our show, we invite you to visit buildalifebydesign.com to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover more helpful resources. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and share. Thank you for listening.